window of October is available for budget defense. Any minister or any head of agency who decides to travel out of Nigeria without defending his or her budget would have no opportunity again to defend that budget.
That seems to be a very strong one from the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan. So it looks like there's been a communication between the Senate President and the President. So this evening, the President said this. He has directed the immediate suspension of international travels by all cabinet members and heads of government agencies so as to enable honorable ministers personally lead the process of budget defense at the National Assembly. The suspension of such travels will enable functionaries and agencies of the executive arm of government to provide the required cooperation with the legislature in order to ensure timely passage of the appropriation bill. So that's the decision of the president today. No travel for ministers until they defend their budget. Let's get some insight on this one, everyone. I have joining me from Abuja studio a former member of the House of Representatives and a policy and governance expert, Dr. West Idahosa. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Dr. Idahosa, for coming on tonight. Weigh in on this one, please, and give us a sense of what this means. Is a sense of seriousness, and how would you describe it from what we heard from the Senate President? I'm not sure I've heard as such a stern warning coming from the leader of the legislature to the executive arm of government that if you don't come at the stipulated time, no second chance.
Well, I think that there's been some degree of paradigm shift in the way budgets are handled today. I must commend both the Senate President and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for what we are witnessing. Remember that under the Fiscal Responsibility Act, there is a period for which once the President lays the budget before the National Assembly, the details ought to be submitted. But as usual in our country, we've had a situation where ministers and head of departments will travel out and continue to delay the process of budget passage. Now we are witnessing a decision of the government to change the budget cycle and move back from January to December, which is the most commonly practiced cycle all over the world. So in order to get that effected, the National Assembly is committed to ensure that by the end of October, all estimates and details are before them, and then hopefully before December, they can pass this budget. And then with that passage, they could hopefully commence a new budget cycle by January 2020. That's a good development.
In my job as a political journalist, I've heard and I've listened to a lot of politicians, even ministers, former ministers, and lawmakers say, look, the evil in budget process is usually with civil servants. You have been in the National Assembly, and we've heard that kind of altercations between lawmakers and the MDAs about budget defense. But when you see this kind of situation happening, when the fear was that the legislature might be a rubber stamp of the executive, but this kind of situation, how would you describe it?
I think it's a very commendable development. In all my time, this is the first time I'm seeing a very strongly worded message from the leader of the legislature, and also a very prompt reaction by the executive, ordering everyone not to travel until the budget process is completed. And indeed, the budget is the most important piece of legislation in Nigeria. So this importance that is being accorded to it is very impressive, and it shows that perhaps that the second term of Mr. President may signal real remarkable changes that Nigerians expected from the beginning.
This kind of camaraderie, a lot of people have told me that the advantages are there, the disadvantages are there too. For example, we heard about budget padding. And if there are any lapses within this budget process, would you be able to know? Because there seems to be a very good cordial relationship. But when they are at loggerheads, we always discover some of these lapses. But in this kind of situation, Are we going to be able, will citizens know if there's anything that goes wrong?
I don't think it's a quarrel that brings about discovery of budget irregularities. I think rather is the efficiency and commitment of the National Assembly members to serious scrutiny. Don't forget, they have several committees looking at several sectors of the and then several aspects of the budget. So there's specialization, and to that extent, it's important for every committee to pay attention to details. So if there is padding, there is fictitious input, there are manipulation of line item budgets, it will be discovered by prudent process of vetting the budget.
Of people, the fear of a lot of people is that, look, with the way they are running, if there's anything to hide, citizens may not know. But look at this, Dr. Idahosa, the timeline of the budget as slated by, because when the budget was presented, that same day, the National Assembly brought out a timeline of how they want the budget to look like. Look at it right there on the screen. And everything has to be within a month to defend it. Then they're hoping that the budget will be passed in the first week of December. How easy is it to work on this timeline? Is it a tightrope, an impossible one?
No, it's not a tightrope. Ideally, what is happening now, it should be the real and normal situation. During the process of considering budgets, all hands should be on deck. Don't forget, there are serious situations in the country. We have security problems, we have to meet national productivity targets, and all of this will require expenditure. So you don't expect to have a loose and very flexible timeline, which will dovetail into next year if care is not taken. So we are witnessing procedural discipline, and this is very key for the successful passage of the budget. Don't forget that Nigerians are expecting action, and the only way to show them that things are changed is to increase the pace of passage, pass quickly, and deliver on the promised goods.
Let me get, in a few seconds, your final word. This is perhaps the earliest President Buhari presented the budget. But in the days of Goodluck Jonathan, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala laid the budget in October almost 2 or 3 times. In the content of the budget, are you impressed? Just in a few seconds before we close.
Well, of course, no budget is perfect. And many have criticized this budget as a budget of taxation. As far as I am concerned, I'm not impressed with the allocation given to education and health. These are key social areas of national life that we have to pay more attention to. I think that hopefully we should improve the inputs and outputs for these areas of our national life, and then to that extent, people will begin to feel the impact of a real change in terms of dealing with the national economic life.
Idahosa, former member of the House of Representatives, policy and governance expert. I seem to like this your new look with the gray. It seems to look good on you. Thank you so much, Dr. Idahosa, for talking to us this evening. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. It's Friday. Well, find a way of enjoying the rest of your weekend, everyone. But stand by. State of the Nation is up next on Channels TV.